Hey, so my name is Sarah and this is my Mathcast. Today we're talking about expanded form. Basically what this is any old number, right, any of these numbers, and it's taking them and saying, okay, so what makes these numbers up? 25 is 20, so 25, 25. 42, 40, and 2. 15, not as straightforward, but we do know that that is 10, and that's obviously 5. Okay, today we're talking about expanded form. Basically what that is taking any number and breaking it up. We know that 25 is made up of 20 and 5. Same as 42 is made up of 40 and 2, and 15 is made up of 10 and 5. So now let's take a look at this chart. Let's start with number 1. So what's 20 plus 1? Well, we know that's 21. We'll move to 7. What's 80 plus 9? 89. Now let's move to 14. What's 400 plus 50? 450, right? But let's think of a way to do this so we're not always just adding. We can start to put them together. So if it's something you don't necessarily know how to add right away, you can figure it out. So let's do 14 up here. So 400 plus 50. Let's write it out. 400 because the 4 is in the 100th place. Now what goes in the 10th place? Nothing here, but the 5 is going to be put into the 10th place. So let's move this 0 and put in our 5. Are any 1s going to be added? No. So we know that 400 plus 50 is going to come out to 450. 450. Now let's move on to number 20. We're looking at 400 plus 50 plus 6. Now we already know that 400 plus 50 is 450, but let's write it out anyway. We're going to start out with 400. We're going to add something to the 10th place. So let's get rid of this, and let's put in our 5 for the 10th place. Now what goes in the 1's place? Different than the problem we just did, something does go in the 1's place. So we're going to put in our 6 right here. And we're going to put our 6 in. So now we know that 400 plus 50 plus 6 is going to come out to 456. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to move on. Let's do 34. So 700 plus our 10. So let's get rid of this 0 and put in a 1 in the 10th place, because there's a 1 right here in this 10th place. And now we have our 1s. So this is going to be a 5, not a 0. So 700 plus 10 plus 5. That's going to come out to 715. Now we're going to be trying matching. So we're going to be taking our word form and unit form and try to match them up with standard form. Standard form is numbers. This is something we're all very used to seeing by now, hopefully. So let's get started. Problems A is already done for us, so 234. When you say it out loud, you can see it in your head. You know 234. You can see it right there. So let's get started on B. 374. So let's look for that number. I see it here. 374. We'll draw a line up to connect them and keep moving. This one's written out a little funky, but it's alright because we can figure it out. So we see 7 hundreds, 6 tens, and 3 ones. Let's write that out. So we've got 700. What goes in the tens place? We know 6. What goes in the ones place? We know 3, because it tells you. So we're looking for this number, 763. See it right here. We're going to go ahead and just connect them. Now let's look at this one, D. So it says 204. So there's no tens place. So let's look for 204 right up top. We're going to go down to E and say 402. So there's no tens place, no 20s, 30s, nothing. It just says 402. So we know there's a 4 here, a 0 here, and a 2 here. So let's look for that number. And I see it right here. Draw the line. Now let's move to F. 3 ones, 7 hundreds, and 4 tens. Okay, this one's kind of tricky, but it's okay. So let's write it out in a way that we'll recognize it a little easier. Let's do the 700s first. Now let's see. We have our 4 tens. So what's going to go right here is not a 0, it's a 4. And now what goes in our ones? We know 3. So that number, 3 ones, 7 hundreds, and 4 tens, is going to look like 743. So let's try to find that. I see it right here. So hopefully we've gotten the hang of it. Let's do J. See 110, 2 hundreds, and 3 ones. So we know that we start with hundreds when we write numbers out. We're going to put a 2 right here. We know that tens come next. So we're going to put a 1 here. And last but not least, we know we have our 3 in the 1 spot. So 110, 2 hundreds, and 3 ones is going to be 213. That is right here. Let's move on. Now we're going to be matching a little differently. So you see there's only 3 little options to match with, and about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different guys to add all those to. So let's take a look and we'll do our best. Starting off, 500 plus 9. Well, we know that's 509. So let's look for that. I see it right here. Now let's do B. We see 4 hundreds and 34 ones. So 34 ones is an interesting way to put it, but we know that 30 means 3 tens. So they're trying to trick you, but you know better. So it's going to be 400, 3 in the tens spot, and 4 in the ones. So let's look for that number, and I see it's right here. Now let's move to 60 plus 80 plus 3. If you want to rewrite that number, we definitely can. We'll do 800 plus 60 plus 3. And we know that's going to be 863. And I see that right there. 9 plus 500 is the same as 500 plus 9. When you add 2 numbers, it does not matter the order because you're adding them together. So we know that 500 plus 9 is the same as 9 plus 500. So we'll have the same answer and the same little friend to connect to. We're going to look at 863. So you know that number because when you hear it, you see it. 863. We've got 9 ones plus 50 tens. Now let's keep in mind 50 tens. So let's break this down. 50 groups of 10. That's going to look a lot like 50 times 10. Do you know what that is? 50 times 10 is 500. So 9 ones plus 50 tens is going to look a lot like 9 plus 500. So let's write that down because we already know the answer to that, and we're going to match it right away. It's important with these questions, especially when they're written out, to always take into consideration the wording. Wording is very important with math. Let's continue. 434. This one is easy because when you hear it, you see it. Let's find it, put it here. Now look, this one and this one have something in common. 50 tens is almost similar to hearing 86 tens. So let's think about this. 86 tens is 86 groups of 10. That's the same as multiplying 86 times 10. We know that is going to be 860. Plus 3 ones, so we know that'll just be 3. So that's going to look like 863. Now this number is going to try to trick you again. See, again, like I said, with math, you have to pay close attention to detail. You have to pay attention to wording, you have to pay attention to order, all kinds of things. This one, it would be easy to write down 443, but we know that's not the case. We know this is 400 because of the 2 zeros to the right, and we know this is 30 because of the 1 0 to the right. So let's rearrange this. 400 plus 30 plus 4. We know that's going to be 434. Now let's look at J, 6 tens, 8 hundreds, and 3 ones. We know hundreds go first, tens in the middle, and ones to the right. 509, you hear it, and you can see it, and you know it. And once again, 4 ones and 43 tens. Oh, that's a lot like these two. So we know 43 tens is 43 groups of 10. We know that 43 times 10 is the same thing. So we're looking at 430 plus 4 ones. So we know that's just 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 ones. 430 plus 4 is going to equal 434. So again, this isn't difficult, but it is something, you do have to pay close attention to detail. You have to pay attention to wording, but it doesn't have to be difficult. As long as you're on top of things, you pay close attention, these things will not slip you up because you'll already be noticing them and working out in your head what the correct way those things will look like. And that's going to be it. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.